we met at PFL. It
Mhm.
was a great experience. But after, I mean, before that, who are you? Like your beginnings. I wanna
Yeah.
ask you about your beginnings, because why you decide to cover MMA and not football or basketball or other sport? Why MMA?
Well, the simplest answer, of course, is that's just where my interests are. I'm not a big fan of other sports, man, whether it be NFL,
Hmm.
NBA, MLB, soccer. Like I really don't enjoy watching them all that much. It's just not that exciting. But with MMA and the unpredictability and the kind of individualistic aspect, you really get invested in these fighters and their stories and their success, their losses, just their
Hmm.
careers overall. That's not something that I was ever able to find. With other sports, right? NFL,
Hmm.
it's like you got the teams and people would be so deep in their knowledge of the players and they're like, oh, these running backs and these linemen and all these things. And it's just too much. It's too much. So I love the simplicity of MMA and the respect that is in it. I think that there are some big names that give negative connotations about the sport. But overall, man, these are martial artists. There's a lot of respect that's exchanged and given. And that is,
Hmm.
that it's admirable, and it's something that again you just don't kind of see all the time in other sports.
So why MMA?
Yeah.
Your family watch MMA. You saw one fight one day, and you decide this
Yeah,
is this.
I'll give you how I got into MMA. It's a kind of a funny story. A former friend of mine, his name was Robbie. We were sophomores in high school. He was my best friend at
Mm.
the time, and it was UFC. Maybe 214, 217. It wasn't 217, but it was John Jones and Daniel Cormier too. It was their
Mm.
rematch. Obviously, Jones head kicks DC, game over. But we're at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I never watched fights before this,
Mhm.
and I was terrified, right? Because I looked around and it's all these people. Dude, they're wearing leather. It's like a Harley Davidson meetup, dude. And so I'm like really scared because the optics aren't really great.
Yeah.
But everyone was so nice. It was the most kind community, and you can't judge a book by its cover. And so we had a fantastic night. And after
Mm.
that, man, I mean, I was able to get into it casually. I will admit, right? Because I'm obviously a bit newer as a fan, and I was huge into Connor. And I
Mhm.
remember we were watching the Habib fight down in Tucson because he went to U of A, which is always a funny thing. And dude, I was the biggest Connor dick rider of all time. It was bad. It was bad.
How bad?
But that's how bad to the point where he gets knocked down in round two, and I'm like, he can come back from this. He's fine. He's getting dominated, and I was like, no, he's got that one punch power, dude. That one bam. It was like it's like the classic, like all the memes. That's exactly
Yeah.
who I was. But then over the years, you just evolve. You get deeper into it, and you become. I would say I don't want to say that those types of fans aren't authentic type fans, but
Mhm.
the depth of your knowledge of the sport and the athletes and people outside the UFC, of course, it
Of
gets
course.
deeper and yeah. So that's kind of how I got into MMA. But like how I started covering it was because I was really dissatisfied, man. I was very unhappy. I think I'd mentioned this to you, but at ASU, I didn't study sports broadcasting or journalism or anything really
Mhm.
sports related. I was doing finance.
Yeah.
And for 3 years at ASU, I was really, really involved and invested at WPK, which is the School of Business, through different clubs, organizations. I taught for 3 years at ASU. I was literally Sparky, right, as the mascot. I was doing all these different things because I was trying to fill a hole. I was trying to fill this creative void that had been inside me that had left, when I started college. I was an actor for 10 years. I played drums. And I stopped doing all that when I got to college. I was like, I got to focus
Yeah.
on finance, got to do something secure. And I got to my senior year, and the last 18 months, I've been like, man, I got to change. I got to change. I got to do something that makes me happier. And it's risky. And obviously,